Hi, it's Berit. I just want to share with you that I received the most beautiful package from my aunt and uncle from my cousin about my cousin Peter. And my cousin Peter, as you know, Beth, passed in 2017 unexpectedly from a drug overdose. And he actually channeled several letters, one, actually two that are in our first book, Living Beyond Fear. But he was around yesterday and he's been around so much. I always see him by the water's edge. He loved kayaking, he loved fishing, and he has such a beautiful spirit to help us and helped us really get on our path to figure out why we were receiving so many people from the other side and what their messages were. And I know he's also helping with our second book, but just a beautiful tribute of his personal story, the obituary, and just a memento for the family to keep him close to all of our hearts, because his story is so many people's story.
Yeah. So interesting that you're bringing him up because I had a new client today who
Mm.
was older. She was in her 60s, mid 60s, and she had seen our video on YouTube, It's Never Too Late.
Mm.
And really, I've heard that from another friend of mine who says she's 70 and she's always like, I just think maybe it's too late for me. And I said, no, it's never too late, because you and I both know that the healing work we do here in this life carries over to
Mhm.
both higher dimensions where we go after our lives and in our next life. So do it now, do the work now. But what I shared her Peter's message, which was
Mhm.
so profound. One of my favorite messages in the book is there's nothing to fix and everything to feel. Because she said at least 3 times, I'm broken.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
broken. And I said, you're not broken. You're
Mhm.
not broken. And you and I know that we accumulate losses and patterns and beliefs, and we push those feelings down because of that. And that's not being broken. Those are just coping mechanisms
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
pop up for us to keep us going. But it's, again, everything to feel. There's nothing to fix. Nobody's broken. So if
Right.
you're
No
feeling
one's broken.
broken, you're not broken. You just have pushed a lot of feelings down out of everything you've gone through in your life, and they're wanting to come out. That's how it
Mhm.
happens.
You reminded me of two things. One, we think broken because we're making a judgment on ourselves, and we know we're never judged. So we're judging based on conditioning or what we've stories that we hear about us or think about us, or stories that we tell ourselves that we are broken. And then the second thing is that we're having experiences, we're going through it. I think one of the other beautiful messages that came through in another letter from Peter was really we have to go through it. We can't go around it, we can't go under it, we have to go through something, and that's when we feel our way through it. And to know that we always hear this so much from the other side, but it's so true that we are not alone. We don't have to go it alone. We have so much help, the seen and unseen, with just asking, and that it will help carry us through. But we have to go through it. And it's that feeling that we're going through that's actually releasing it. So it's not being stuck or not making us feel that we aren't whole, or we're not, that feeling of, not being
Worthy.
unbalanced.
Yeah. Not, and I'm hearing worthy. And
Worthy.
yeah, and we're not. So, okay, so you say we're not alone, right? We have so much help, but it's hard to ask for that help. And who do we turn to? And I know it's the seen and the unseen. The seen are the people around us in our lives, or a friend, or a person who gives us a message in a store that unexpectedly, or a phone call, or the unseen, people who have passed, or our animals. There's so
Mhm.
many places to receive help, but we have to feel that we're worthy of
Mhm.
healing and worthy of receiving, or we don't ever reach out. So
Mhm.
I in the session this morning, I said, your conflict, your worry is, do you deserve? Do you deserve
Mhm.
to do this at this point in your life? Are you worthy of this? And so many people, so many people walk around feeling they're not worthy. They just don't matter.
Mhm. And again, it's that judgment and it's so much shame. Like we feel a sense of shame for whatever, whether it's, for whatever it covers us so that we don't necessarily reach out for something when it's just a cover for something that needs to be released and surrounded with such love and compassion, and really compassion for ourselves, compassion and gentleness for, knowing we're doing the best that we can do for where we're at that point, and to knowing that also things change, that we don't stay in anything. Everything is always in motion. We're energy. It never stays. So something's going to change. But when we even just putting out an ask, even if we're just putting it out in our mind with an intention or a prayer or a wish or whatever, it actually brings something through that's going to start to change the dynamic.
Yeah. And it's interesting you're bringing up shame, because that relates back to the feelings. That is
Mhm.
everything to feel, nothing to fix, everything to feel. Because
Mhm.
ironically, shame feels pretty bad, right? Feeling unworthy feels terrible. It feels like you're not worthy of even having a conversation sometime, or seeing a person, or leaving your house, or getting help, or asking for help. And
Mhm.
so, but ironically, the shame and the unworthiness keeps those other difficult feelings down. That as bad as shame feels, it's
Mhm.
it's used as a coping mechanism to not feel the other feelings. The
Mhm.
could be deep anger, grief is the number one, that comes up for people, the deep sadness as to what they've been through, or what their experiences were, what they didn't do, what
Mhm.
regrets they had. And there's no regrets. When I'm
Yeah.
at body experience, I was told there's no judgment, and there's no mistakes, there's no regrets, everything has a purpose. And when we're ready, we open up to it. So what do people do? If we're walking around everyone's walking around shoving their feelings down, through addictions or distracting themselves in some way, how do we get at them? How do we deal with the shame? Who's like the guard in front? If our emotions are in a castle, the guard shame is like pulling up the drawbridge.
Right, right.
And so really the way shame leaves is by telling your story, by
Mhm.
telling
Mhm.
what happened in very detail.
Mhm.
This is what happened. Whatever we have shame about, it could be anything, and it's different for different people. But speaking in detail, telling the story of what happened, lists the shame, and then allows the other emotions to come through, which is how we start healing.
Mhm. And how beautiful. I mean, it takes such courage and it takes such strength
Yeah.
to be able to tell your story. You don't know how it's going to be, how it's going to be received, and but to release all judgment and to throw down the gauntlet. I'm hearing just like your imagery of this drawbridge. And so truth is the thing that sets us free. It allows us to be witnessed, and for people to, first of all, for ourselves to honor ourselves enough to be able to share it, and for others to be able to witness in whatever way they do our own story. And when we do that, we're actually helping the other person too, by allowing them to be authentic, to share their story. And there is a connection that is deeper than anything we can feel, and that, it's the deepest connection because we're connecting at our authentic point. We're truly sharing what's on our heart. We're bearing our soul, we're being vulnerable. And when we are doing that, we're allowing others to be vulnerable. And isn't that a gift?
Yeah.
Isn't that a gift that we can all pull down the walls that have been shielding us from one another, that have been blocking us from our own divinity, our own divine self, our own truth. And when we share that, we are starting that healing process and to releasing things that can no longer need to be weighing us down, to be releasing things that have been hidden behind that wall of shame.
Yeah. And I'm here for people to share their stories. It's what I do, but I'm very well versed in stuffing down those emotions. And so many of my clients and all the obstacles they've used to push them aside. And, it's, yes, it's shame based. And I hear it every day.
Mhm.
And there's no story that I could hear that is more awful than what people have come to me and what I've experienced. And it's we're all still here. You're still here. Like, no matter what you've been through, you're still here. You're and even if you don't get to it in this life and you're in the other dimension or you've passed away, there's that you could still heal. You could still feel. So um tell your story. Don't hide out. If you're suffering, book a session, and I can help you. I can help you come out of that closet where you're suffering, because shame loves to be in the closet. Shame loves to hide. So, you know, so many people have struggles with eating, and they're eating by themselves, or they're overeating, or they're just stuffing down those feelings. And it's all shame. It's all shame. So when we tell our story and we
Mhm.
feel it, it does work. And then the other emotions can flow. And then we do heal. Healing
Mhm.
is so possible, but so many people suffer in silence and feel alone,
Mhm.
and they're
Mhm.
not. And that's exactly what you were bringing up before about we're not alone,
We're
that
not alone.
there
There's
are
so much.
people, and it doesn't have to be me. It can be a dear friend or a pastor or, you know, an animal, the woods,
Mhm. Mhm.
just share your story, share your feelings with somebody.
Mhm.
'Cause
Mhm.
that's shame cannot hide if you
Shame
bring
can.
the light in.
And isn't that a message of hope? Because there is healing that happens for all of us. We all have our challenges. We all have our story, right? We all have our life experiences. And when we're sharing it, we're actually empowering one another. We're giving love to the other as they're giving love to us. And that healing can transcend life's here as well as those on the other side. And this beautiful booklet that I was received from Peter, just reminding of Peter's story and witnessing his story, because so many of other stories have elements of our own story. We can see ourselves in other people's stories. So isn't that bringing us together collectively to begin that witnessing, to begin that healing?
Yeah, to bring it out, to just it can't, it doesn't stay. And
Mhm.
then the unworthiness to heal it, to know it's not real. First of all, it's not real. We're all worthy. We just
Mhm.
bought into a story that someone showed us or told us that we're unworthy, but it's not true.
Mhm.
And so what it does when you tell your stories, you're saying it's not true. I am worthy, you know,
Yes.
and then you share it, and the worthy feelings start to come about. And
Mhm.
what I find and what I've done with some of my clients is to repeat the words, and this might sound contradictory, but to say, I am unworthy. I am unworthy. I am unworthy. And what that does is that it brings out the truth of how we feel. So we're not brainwashing ourselves that we're truly unworthy. We're meeting ourselves where we're at. We're speaking the
Mhm.
truth of
Mhm.
how we feel. And every time someone does that, the feelings the shame goes away,
Mhm.
and the other feelings of grief or anger or their experiences, they share their experience, come through, because it's like they've called out shame. Okay, all right,
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
unworthy. All right, let's
Mhm.
play that game.
Mhm.
And, and it works. And I know there's a place for affirmations to walk around saying I'm worthy, but this is different. This is
Mhm.
to get at
Well, you
shame.
can't, and you can't get there in the affirmations if you're not meeting yourself where you're
Yeah.
at. It's
Yeah.
almost like you're trying to, pull one over on yourself, right? So when you're saying it the way you are, you're actually honoring that I feel this, or this is what
Yeah.
I believe to be true. You're meeting yourself, and then you're taking your own hand with so much love and support around that you don't that is just abundant, and leading you back into the truth, which you've always been whole, you've always been loved, you've always been worthy,
Right.
and coming back into that beautiful landscape. Like I always see things in landscapes, coming back into the truth of who you are and honoring you in the light and love that you are.
That's correct. That's how it works. And I just, when you said beautiful landscape, I had my eye on your landscape behind you.
Right.
I love the colors. Um,
Oh.
but yes, the light and love that you truly are. It's sometimes we have to, well, one, it's speaking the truth. I do feel this way. Eh, I haven't met anybody who hasn't felt on some level unworthy, on some level, had some doubt, some more than others, depending on what they're carrying around. But it's not true. But if we believe it, then that's how we feel. So the reason it works is because you're honoring the truth, which is what you started saying before about the importance of you're speaking the truth.
Mhm.
So whether it's about your experiences or your feelings, it's not about blaming or letting someone off the hook, or having needing more compassion for people who are struggling. That all can come, but it's
Mhm.
about naming the truth,
Mhm.
speaking the truth of how we feel, of what we've experienced, because we're carrying it around, and
Mhm.
it's coming out sideways,
It's
and it
coming out sideways, and it's affecting every aspect of our lives. It's affecting our choices. It's affecting our sense of identity, our lack of feeling, worthy, and it's affecting our relationships, and it's affecting our possibilities. It's affecting all of us and all of our thoughts. So to be able to call out that shame, call out the blame that we're placing upon ourselves that is not merited. It's not where it's not the truth. And to come back into a sense of who we really are. And it changes the way, we think about ourselves. When we can get to the root of what is it that's really pulling us down and letting us buy into these falsehoods that aren't truth. Get to the root of it and pull up that root, and to honor ourselves for the strength to do that, and to release it, just to say, I don't need this anymore. I release it back into the universe. There's so many hands waiting to take that away from us,
yeah.
and to replace us and to fill us and surround us with an abundance of love. We're always held in love, and
Yes.
it gets back into that feeling.
And getting back to back at the beginning, what we were talking about is, if there's so many people who are trying to look a certain way, to diet, or to fix themselves in some way, whatever that is, a better job, a better house, a better body, a better life, more money, more this, more that. To have what you want in this life, it's not wrong to want in this life, but to have what you want in your life, it's not to fix those things, it's to unload the weight
Mhm.
that you're carrying around, of these emotions that are weighing you down, that that and we could talk about the mind next time, because the mind is part of it, because the mind talks to us, and in the way that it listens to the fear also, or it listens to the shame, and then it chimes in, not on purpose to hurt us. It's just what our mind's been trained to do. So our mind says, yeah, go after that. That'll make you feel better. Or have that drink. That'll make you feel better. No, it's, that's easier that way. Whatever, it's the mind comes along with everything to feel, because the mind has a mind of its own. And I do want to do a video on that next time, on ruminations, and we've done a short video on it, but on ruminations and how the mind can trick us, and how the mind can lead us down those rabbit holes and create the anxiety. So the mind and the feelings are connected, but I felt it's very important when you said that you got that pamphlet from Peter. It's very important to talk about not being broken, that these are feelings that have just need to come out.
And isn't that the bottom line, is the feeling? When we can allow ourselves to feel whatever we're feeling, to allow that to flow through us, to know that we're being held and supported no matter what we're feeling, to allow those feelings to get unstuck and cleared and unblocked and let them flow freely, then they will bring us through whatever we need to wherever we are. It will get us through to the other side. And we'll see how we are so perfect. We are so beautiful. Our souls are so magnificent that we can feel our way through, and we are whole, we are loved, we are worthy.
Yeah. And just feelings aren't wrong. Feelings are our own. Feelings are never wrong. Many people just don't know how to sit with them. And it's hard. It's difficult. Sometimes those feelings can be difficult, but they're never wrong, ever. Feelings are feelings. And they're just energy and motion. Our emotions are energy and motion that just, when they get stuck, we get stuck. So let's do a video soon. Let's try and do it for next week, on the mind and those rabbit holes, and why we shouldn't follow them.
So thank you, Peter. Thank you for those profound words. There's nothing to fix and everything to feel.
Thank you all. Have a great day.